Now, to end this week, I'm really excited to discuss this topic because I'll be talking about one of my favorite genres of show, and that is Power Rangers. But this isn't Power Rangers, this is the original Sentai, as we've got their 50th anniversary show, No.1 Sentai Gozyuger. Now, this show is surrounding a cataclysmic universe war that essentially takes out every other Sentai team that's ever existed, with the only thing left being a power ring that houses the power of the Red Ranger. And essentially this whole show is about all of these different individuals wanting to grant their dream, wanting to grant their wish. And if they collect all of the Sentai rings, they'll be able to do so. And this is what I look for in a Power Rangers series. I'm sick and tired of the run-of-the-mill Power Rangers series where it's just flashy fights with no context and no follow-through a story. Yeah, you have a big bad at the end that you gotta work towards to get to. But this is how you have stakes. This is how you have progression. Now, the Gozyugers themselves are the only ones that have different color and unique Ranger outfits and Ranger abilities. And the other characters that we see utilize these Sentai rings really vary up the episodes, because you don't only get Power Ranger versus Monster of the Week, you get Power Ranger versus Power Ranger, because you have to fight for the rings to collect them, which I think is really cool. And to make the monster battles even more interesting, it's not just, oh, you have to fight the monster until they get big and then you fight them again. Each individual monster is basically a number one in their own category. So number one in popularity, number one in being a fan of media. These really vary up the episodes because you get a lot of different types of battles and different types of comedy and different types of utilization of characters, because it really fits with each character and how they are portrayed. And I just want to say, to cover them real quick, I love the characters of the individual Gozyugers and how they grow through each episode, and just how different they feel from the stereotypical Power Rangers characters that we get through the westernized series. And to that point, I also want to say that I love the small introductions that we get to each combatant when a number one battle starts, but we're not going to talk about the other thing that happens when the number one battle starts. Now, of course, right now they are only on episode 16, and the reason why I'm talking about it now is because they just had their climactic shift in how the story is being portrayed. And of course, spoiler warning, they introduced the 6th Ranger, or some may even call him the very first Ranger. But as a whole, I really love what Gozyugers is aiming for. I love the combat, I love the comedy, I love the way that they can have different types of fights. We get to see Red Rangers versus Red Rangers, we get to see the Gozyugers versus the bad guys. Sometimes we see a mixture of the three. And the one thing I will say is I absolutely love how they use the Sentai rings, because we essentially see every single version of Sentai from Power Rangers and the versions we have never seen. So seeing forms like Jacker or Dawn Brothers or King Oger, that stuff was really cool, and I hope we get a lot more of it. Now, there are two things I want to add to this real quick. First, the morphing gauntlets that they use are a little bit ridiculous, because they just kind of pop out of nowhere. But I do think it's cool that they are the Megazords themselves. But also, my big prediction for the end of this show is that every single ring of the 50 Sentai rings are going to have some kind of energy pulse through them. They're going to change, and we're going to see the reveal of one ring, which is going to be the 51st Sentai. And basically my prediction is these 50 Sentai rings are going to transform into the next 50 years of Sentai. But yeah, I don't want to give too much more away about the story of Gozyuger because I want you guys to go out and watch it for yourself. But with where it's heading with this new story they're going into, I'm really looking forward to how this shapes up. I may even come back to talk about this when their 48 episode run completes, or when they eventually make the movie that's already apparently going to be made. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to discuss when it comes to No.1 Sentai Gozyuger. And I think it's time for me to send it back to me and my friends to end this week's episode.